My wife thinks I'm pulling away because I don't love her anymore. The truth? I'm pulling away because I love her too much, and I'm fighting something I don't even know how to name. Every morning I stay silent. She mistakes my shame for hatred. This is how I almost lost my marriage by trying to protect her from me. My wife made my favorite breakfast this morning, and I couldn't even look at her. Not because I don't love her, but because I love her too much to let her see what I've become. You ever sit across from someone you'd die for and feel like a stranger in your own skin? Like your body is still there, taking up space at the table, but whatever made you, you packed up and left a long time ago. That was me, this morning, sitting at a small wooden table we picked out together, staring at a plate of eggs and bacon like it was evidence in a crime scene. It was subtle, the shift. It always is. The kind of thing no one else would notice, but your heart does. This morning, my wife stopped trying. She didn't reach for my hand. That's how it used to start, every morning. Even when we were broke. Even when we were exhausted. Even when we had 10 minutes to get ready and rush out the door, there was always this moment where she'd brush her fingers over mine. Sometimes she'd lace them together. Sometimes just tap the back of my hand with her thumb. Something small. Something that said, I'm here, you're here, we're us. But today, her hands never left her lap. I noticed it before I noticed anything else. Before the smell of bacon, before the coffee, before the sound of her moving quietly in the kitchen. I noticed that empty stretch of table between us. This little no-man's land of wood where her fingers used to be. I don't think she even realized she'd stopped. That's the part that kills me. You don't just wake up and stop loving someone. You wake up and stop reaching, one slow morning at a time. I remember when mornings used to feel like stolen time. Back when we first moved into this house, when the paint still smelled new, and we only owned 2 mugs because we couldn't afford more yet. She used to sit sideways on my lap instead of across from me, her coffee pressed between both our hands, her cheek on my shoulder. My neck would hurt. My leg would go numb. I didn't care. She'd fall half asleep on me, and I'd tilt my head so I could smell her hair and pretend the rest of the world didn't exist. We'd burn toast because we were too busy kissing. We'd be late to work because she insisted on dancing in the kitchen to some stupid song playing off my old phone speaker. Her hair in a messy bun, my shirt half-buttoned, her feet on mine while we swayed by the stove. There were mornings when we had nothing in the fridge but eggs and cheap bread, but it still felt like a feast because she was there, laughing, calling me Chef Marcus when I barely knew how to crack an egg. Back then, breakfast was noisy, plates clinking, her humming, me teasing her about putting too much sugar in her coffee. Back then, she'd lean across the table to wipe ketchup off the corner of my mouth with her thumb. I'd grab her wrist and kiss her fingertips like we were in one of those corny movies she loved to watch. And now? Now my house sounds like a waiting room. This morning, the only sounds were the low hum of the fridge and the faint scrape of her fork against her plate. No music, no humming, just quiet. The kind of quiet that gets inside your chest and sits there. She moved around the kitchen like she was afraid of the floorboards. Gentle steps, careful hands, like she didn't want to disturb me. Or like she didn't want to disturb whatever version of me she thinks she's living with now. I watched her from the corner of my eye, pretending to scroll through my phone so I wouldn't have to look fully at her and risk my face cracking open. She was wearing that faded gray t-shirt I used to steal from her drawer, hair tied back, not in the flirty, messy way from before, but in that tight, functional way that says, I'm tired, and I don't have the energy for anything extra. Then I saw it. The bacon, extra slices. She'd put 4 on my plate. She only took 2 for herself. It sounds stupid, right? Bacon. Who breaks over bacon? But my chest actually hurt when I saw it, because I knew what it meant. She remembered. She remembered that I always took the extra slices when we were happy, that I'd steal from her plate and she'd pretend to be mad, swatting me away, and then pushing the plate closer so I could do it again. This morning, she didn't tease. She just served. 4 strips lined up neatly on my plate like a peace offering. I could smell the salt, the grease, the familiar comfort of it. And I felt this wave of nausea start in my stomach and climb up my throat. Because I didn't deserve it. Any of it, not the breakfast, not the quiet effort, not this woman standing in my kitchen like a ghost of the person I used to make laugh. You ever love someone so much, I wanted to ask you, that you convince yourself the best thing you can do is disappear? Because that's what I've been doing. Slowly, quietly. Pulling my hand back before she can reach for it. Leaving earlier, coming home later, talking less, smiling less, becoming a shadow. Not because I stopped loving her. God, if anything, I love her more. But because I don't recognize the man she thinks she married anymore. She thinks I'm cold, distant, maybe even cheating. I see it in the way her eyes move, the way she watches me unlock my phone and look away, the way she hesitates before asking, "What time will you be home?" Like she's afraid of the answer. I see the questions pile up behind her lips and never quite make it out. And the truth? The truth is worse than anything she's probably imagining. I'm not cheating. I'm not building some secret life. I'm drowning. And I'm too ashamed to grab her hand. There's this thing nobody tells you about shame. It's heavy, but it also makes you float away from yourself. Like you're watching your own life from a corner of the room, too disgusted to step back in. I've been fighting something inside me, fear, failure, whatever you want to call it, for so long that everything outside of that fight feels fake. Like I'm play-acting my role as husband while something behind my ribs is on fire. So I sat there, at that table, with a fork in my hand and a storm in my head. She set the plate down in front of me, careful, like she was setting it in front of a stranger. No smile, no ta-da. Just a quiet, "Here." That barely made it out of her throat. I didn't look up. I couldn't. "Thanks," I muttered. One word, one syllable, the weakest possible response to a woman still trying, not with grand gestures, but with bacon on a Tuesday morning. I didn't deserve that meal. I didn't deserve her standing there, pretending this was just another day. I wanted to say so much more. Thank you for remembering what I like. Thank you for being here even when I make it nearly impossible to love me. Thank you for not giving up yet. Instead, I pushed the food around my plate and forced myself to chew like my jaws were made of sand. I could feel her watching me in these short, stolen glances. The way someone looks at a door they're afraid is about to close. Her fork moved, but she wasn't really eating. She was biting her bottom lip the way she does when she's trying not to cry. She doesn't know I know that about her. She thinks she hides it well. That's when it hit me. My silence wasn't neutral. It wasn't me protecting her from my mess. It was a weapon she didn't understand, cutting her a little more every morning. Every time I pulled away to spare her, she read it as rejection. Every time I swallowed the truth, she heard, "You're not worth hearing it." You ever realize in one terrible heartbeat that you're the one breaking the thing you're trying to save? I wanted to reach for her hand. God, I wanted to. There was a split second, a small, quiet, holy little moment where I could have done it. I saw my own fingers twitch on the table. It would have been so simple. Slide my hand forward. Let my skin touch hers. Let her know I was still in there somewhere. But shame. Shame is louder than love sometimes. I didn't move. She finished eating before I did, even though I barely touched my food. That's how you know someone's checked out. They stop lingering. No more second coffee for the sake of conversation. No more, "Oh, I'll just sit with you while you finish." She stood up, plate in hand, and carried it to the sink. I heard the water run, the clink of ceramic, her quiet breath catching once, just once. Then silence again. When she turned back around, she had that look on her face. Not angry, not even disappointed, just tired. The kind of tired that seeps into your bones when you've tried every soft way to reach someone, and none of it has worked. She wiped her hands on a dish towel, even though they were already dry. A nervous habit. Her eyes met mine for the first time that morning, and there it was. The question that had been circling the kitchen like smoke. Did I do something wrong? 5 words. 5 little words that should have cut straight through my fog and pulled the truth out of me. I should have told her everything. That I wake up feeling hollow, that I'm terrified of failing her, that I feel like a broken version of the man she married, that every time I look at her, I see all the ways she deserves better than the half-life I'm giving her. But confession takes courage, and all I had left was habit. I forced my gaze up to meet hers, just for a second. I saw the shine in her eyes, the slight tremble at the corner of her mouth. She was braced for impact, like she expected me to confirm her deepest fear. "No," I said, "just that." 1 word. I watched it hit her like a closed door. Because no, without explanation, is just another way of saying, "You're not even worth an answer." She nodded slowly, like she was agreeing with something only she could hear, then turned away. The dish towel went over the chair. Her footsteps faded down the hallway. And in my head, loud and clear, the words I didn't say echoed back at me. "You didn't do something wrong, Sarah. I'm what's wrong." Depression doesn't announce itself. It doesn't knock, doesn't warn you, doesn't show up with a name tag. It just settles in. Quiet, heavy. And before you've even realized something is wrong, you look around your own life and feel like a visitor. Lately, getting out of bed feels like lifting concrete. I hear the alarm, and for a few seconds I just lie there, staring at the ceiling, trying to convince my body to care. My limbs feel slow. My brain feels slower. The world outside the blankets feels too bright, too loud, too demanding. Eventually I move. Not because I want to, because I have to. I go through the motions, shower, shave, clothes, keys. None of it feels connected to me anymore. It's like muscle memory is the only thing keeping me functioning. There's a fog in my head that makes everything feel far away. I'll stand in the kitchen, staring at the coffee maker, and realize I've been holding the mug for 2 full minutes without pouring anything. Work doesn't help. Work is where I pretend the hardest. "Morning, Marcus. How's everything? You good?" I give the same answer every time. "Yeah, just tired." It slips out easy now. Automatic. People nod, move on, and I keep my head down, hoping no one looks too closely. Hoping no one sees how much effort it takes just to seem normal. Because men aren't supposed to fall apart, right? Husbands aren't supposed to be weak. We're supposed to carry things quietly. Fix things before they become problems. Be solid. So when I started fading, when the weight in my chest didn't lift, I told myself I could handle it, that it was just a rough patch, that Sarah didn't need to know. But hiding something like this, it changes everything. The night she tried to reach for me, it's burned into my memory. We were in our bedroom. Soft lighting, quiet house. She walked over and touched the inside of my wrist, gentle, the way she used to when she wanted closeness without saying it out loud. Her fingers were warm, familiar, and something in me panicked. I flinched, barely, but enough. She froze. I felt it. The way her breath stopped for half a second. The way her hand hesitated before she let it fall back to her side. "Marcus, what's going on?" she asked, her voice small. I wanted to tell her everything. I wanted to fall into her arms and admit I haven't felt like myself in months. That I'm scared. That I'm tired in a way sleep can't fix. That I don't pull away because I don't want her. I pull away because I feel numb and broken and I don't know how to let her hold something that's falling apart this quietly. But the shame got there first. "You don't touch me anymore," she whispered. "You don't even see me." That hit me harder than she'll ever know. Because I do see her. She's the only thing I see clearly through all this fog. Her hair falling over her shoulder. The small crease between her eyebrows when she's worried. The way her voice softens when she's trying not to upset me. I see every detail. I'm hyper-aware of her. But I don't know how to reach for her without exposing everything I'm trying to hide, so I did what scared people do. I lied. "I'm just stressed about work," I said. Her face changed, not dramatically, just a small shift. Acceptance mixed with doubt. She nodded slowly, like she wanted to believe me. Like believing the lie was easier than imagining the truth. She went to bed early that night, turned to the wall. Didn't ask me to hold her. And I sat alone in the living room long after the lights were off, listening to the quiet, feeling the space between us grow just a little wider. Around 3 a.m., I finally walked to the bathroom. I don't even know why, I just couldn't sleep. My chest felt tight, my thoughts were heavy, and I needed something. Air. Distance. A mirror. The light was harsh when it flicked on, and the reflection staring back at me didn't look like the man I remember being. My eyes looked dull. Older. My shoulders slumped like I'd been carrying something for too long. Even the stubble on my jaw felt like a sign of how much I've let slip. I touched the counter, leaning forward, trying to recognize myself. For a moment I wondered if this is what Sarah sees now. A man fading. A man who doesn't talk. A man who pulls away and calls it stress. I don't blame her for being hurt. I don't blame her for asking if something is wrong. I don't even blame her for starting to think she's the problem. But she's not. She's never been the problem. The problem is whatever's happening inside me. The heaviness I can't shake. The numbness I can't explain. The fear that if I let Sarah really see me like this, she'll realize she deserves more than the empty version of me she's been coming home to. I stood there, staring at my own face, feeling the weight of it all pressing down on me, wanting to fix it, wanting to be better, wanting to reach for the woman who still sets my plate at the table like I matter, but not knowing where to start. And the worst part? For the first time, I wasn't sure I had an answer. That's how the night ended. Me gripping the edge of the sink at 3 a.m., staring at a reflection I barely recognize, realizing the weight I won't share is the very thing pulling me further away from the person I love most. I thought I was protecting her by staying silent. I didn't realize silence has a way of filling up with assumptions. And assumptions? They're poison. At first, it was little things, the kind of shifts you could ignore if you wanted to. Shorter answers, less eye contact. The way Sarah's laughter faded from our house one day and never quite came back. I noticed all of it. I just pretended I didn't. One evening, it finally blew up. We were in the living room. TV on, sound low, fake background noise. I was on one end of the couch, phone in my hand. She was on the other, hugging a pillow like it was holding her together. I could feel her watching me. You know that feeling? When someone's eyes sit on you for too long. "Marcus," she said. I didn't look up right away. Habit, cowardice, both. "Yeah?" I answered, eyes still on the screen. Can you put that down for a second? Her voice wasn't sharp. It was too calm. That's what scared me. I set the phone on the table, met her eyes. She looked exhausted, not just from the day, from us. There were faint shadows under her eyes, her shoulders rounded like she'd been bracing for bad news for weeks. If you don't love me anymore, she said, just say it. My heart dropped. She swallowed, kept going before I could speak. If you're done with this, if you're done with me, just say it, Marcus. Stop torturing me with this. Nothing. That word again. Nothing. It stung because she was right. I wasn't yelling, I wasn't cruel, I wasn't storming out. I was just giving her nothing. No reassurance, no explanation, just silence and half smiles and, I'm fine. It's not that, I managed. My voice sounded small even to me. She gave this short, bitter laugh. Then what is it? Because from here it feels exactly like that. She shifted closer, not to be near me, but to make sure her words landed. You don't talk to me anymore, she said. You come home, and you're just gone. You sit at the table like you're waiting out a punishment. You barely look at me. You answer in one word. You go to bed and lie with your back turned. Do you know what that feels like? I looked down at my hands, fingers knotted together. She didn't stop. We used to have date nights, she said. Remember those? Thursdays? You picked the place, I picked dessert. We'd dress up for no reason. When was the last time we did that? You canceled our anniversary dinner, Marcus. You said you'd make it up to me. You never did. Her voice cracked, but she kept pushing through it. You used to sit right here, she tapped the cushion between us, with your arm around me. Now you sit all the way over there like we're roommates who barely know each other. And our bed? She laughed again, but there was nothing funny in it. You used to pull me close. You'd find me in your sleep. Now you stay as close to the edge as you can get. Her eyes glossed over. She blinked fast. If you don't want me anymore, she whispered, I can handle that. I'll survive that. But I can't keep drowning in this silence. If I'm not what you want, just say it. You are the only thing I want, I screamed inside my head. You're the only thing that still feels real. But my throat closed up. Fear, shame, whatever you want to call it, it wrapped around my voice and squeezed. I still love you, I said. It came out flat, thin. I do, I'm just stressed about work, she snapped, finally letting some anger show. You've been stressed about work for half a year. That's not an answer anymore, Marcus. That's a wall. She stared at me like she was searching for the man she married behind my eyes and couldn't find him. What did I do? She asked. Softer now. Just tell me. Please. I'm replaying everything in my head, trying to figure out where I lost you. You didn't do anything, I said quickly. You didn't. Then why? She whispered. Does it feel like you resent me just for being here? I didn't. God, I didn't. If anything, I resented myself, my own brain, my own weakness. But the way I shrank, the way I shut down whenever she walked into the room, it all looked like resentment from where she was standing. I'm just going through stuff, I muttered, hating how vague it sounded. Yeah, she said quietly, tears finally spilling. I can tell. She stood up. No door slam. No dramatic exit. Just a simple, defeated, okay, before she walked down the hallway and left me alone on the couch. The person I loved most in the world felt like a stranger, and I still couldn't get the words out that might have brought her back. A few days later, her sister Kendra came over. I was in the kitchen pretending to clean. They were in the living room, voices low. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but some words cut through walls no matter what you do. I'm worried, Sarah said. He's different. I don't know how to reach him. Kendra didn't hesitate. I'm gonna be honest with you, girl. Men who pull away like that, they're usually hiding something. I froze at the sink, water running over my hands. Hiding what? Sarah asked. Her voice had that tremor I hate, the one that means she's scared. Could be anything, Kendra said. Another woman, some secret, something he's into you don't know about. Just be careful, pay attention, don't let love blind you. Seeds dropped right into soil that was already cracked. After that, things shifted again. My phone would be slightly out of place, notifications cleared that I hadn't checked yet. Once I walked into the bedroom and saw Sarah sitting on the edge of the bed with my phone in her lap. She jumped like I'd caught her stealing. I was just checking the time, she said too fast. I knew she'd gone through it. The messages, the call history, the apps. She didn't find anything. Because there was nothing to find. No flirty texts, no hidden accounts, just news articles, work emails, stupid memes I didn't laugh at. But that almost made it worse. If there'd been something concrete, at least her pain would have a shape. Now all she had was a blank screen, and a husband she couldn't read. One night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling again. Sarah got up without a word and went to the bathroom. The light flicked on under the door. The shower started. I heard it before I understood it. At first it was just a sound under the water. Then I realized it was her. Not the soft sniff she gives when a movie makes her emotional. This was deeper, raw, the kind of crying you do when you think no one can hear you. Each muffled sob felt like someone taking a hammer to my chest. I got up, walked to the door, sat down on the floor with my back against it. On the other side, my wife was breaking, trying to hide it even from the man who promised to protect her. I pressed my palms into my eyes, trying to hold everything in. Just tell her, my mind pleaded. Just say it. Tell her. Tell her you're not disgusted by her. Tell her you're not bored. Tell her you're not in love with someone else. Tell her you're drowning, that waking up hurts, that you feel empty and heavy at the same time, that you've been so afraid of being a burden, you became a ghost instead. My hand moved toward the doorknob. I pictured it. Steam, red eyes, her shocked face when she saw me there. I pictured finally saying the words. I'm not okay. It's not you. It's me. I'm sick in a way people don't see. I need help. I need you. The words lined up in my throat and crashed into shame. What if she thought I was making excuses? What if she looked at me like I was weak? What if I shattered her image of who she married and she could never unsee it? The water turned off. I heard the curtain, the towel, her quiet breaths trying to steady themselves. I stood, up fast, and went back to bed before she opened the door, lying there like I'd been there the whole time. When she came out, she moved slowly, eyes a little swollen, face clean, like she'd scrubbed away every trace of emotion. She slipped into bed, turning her back to me. The space between us felt like a canyon. In the dark, my mind screamed the same thing over and over. Just tell her. Tell her. My jaw stayed locked. Days later, after another night of barely talking, she finally said it. We were in the kitchen. She was drying a mug. I was pretending to look at something on my phone. Marcus, she said, not looking up. Maybe we need space. The word hit me harder than anything she'd said so far. Space. We were already drowning in it. I forced myself to nod. My voice didn't trust me, so I didn't use it. Inside, it felt like someone was pulling my ribs apart. Space is the last thing we need, I thought. We need honesty. We need the truth on the table. We need me to grow a spine and open my mouth. But when I looked at her, at the hurt, the confusion, the exhaustion, I had another thought. Maybe space is what you deserve. Maybe you deserve a break from this version of me. So I nodded, agreed to the distance, and watched the woman I love take one more step away while I stayed frozen in place, still unable to bridge the gap I'd created with my own silence. Rock bottom has a way of making things clear. Mine came when I realized I'd rather lose myself than lose her. But I was about to lose both. It started with a day I just didn't get up. My alarm went off, same as always. I heard it, reached out, turned it off, stared at the ceiling. Usually that's the part where I force myself upright. This time my body didn't move. It wasn't just tired. It felt like somebody had stacked cinder blocks on my chest. 10 more minutes, I told myself. Just 10. 10 minutes turned into an hour. Then 2. I called in sick. Voice rough, excuse vague. Must have caught something. They told me to rest. I hung up and sank deeper into the mattress like it was trying to swallow me. I didn't brush my teeth. I didn't shower. I didn't eat. I drank half a glass of water because my throat hurt from being dry, then let it sit on the nightstand the rest of the day. The house moved around me. Pipes groaning. A car passing by outside. A neighbor's music faint through the wall. It all sounded far away, like I was underwater and someone else was living my life above the surface. Sarah came in once that first day. "You okay?" she asked from the doorway. I couldn't even look at her properly. My eyes slid to her and away. "Yeah," I lied. "Just tired. Think I'm coming down with something." She stood there a second longer than usual. I could feel her wanting to push, wanting to call me out. But she didn't. "Okay," she said softly. "Let me know if you need anything." I nodded into the pillow. I didn't ask for anything. The second day was worse. No alarm, no calls. I didn't even bother phoning in sick again. I just let the world run without me. My phone buzzed on and off until the notifications stopped coming. Sarah moved differently that day. Quieter at first, then sharper. I heard drawers opening and closing, the soft thump of a bag on the bed. Zippers. I forced my eyes open when she came into the room. She was dressed like she was going out. Jeans, loose sweater, hair pulled back, keys in her hand. There was a small overnight bag on her shoulder. Her face was carefully blank, the kind of neutral people use when they're holding themselves together with both hands. "I'm going to my mom's for a few days," she said. The words were calm, final. My stomach twisted, but my body still didn't move. "Okay," I said, because apparently that's the only word I know how to use when it matters. "This isn't—" She stopped, swallowed. "I'm not leaving. I can't keep sitting in this house pretending we're okay. I need space like we talked about." Space. There it was again. I wanted to say, "Please don't go. I'm not okay. I need you." Instead, I stared at the wall and said nothing. She nodded to herself, like she'd expected that. Like this was just confirmation of whatever conclusion she'd already reached. "I left some soup in the fridge," she said. "You should eat." I didn't. The front door closed a few minutes later. The silence that followed felt different, colder, bigger. The house didn't feel like a home anymore. It felt like a place where I'd failed at something important. I don't know how long I lay there after she left. Time blurred. The light changed colors on the wall. At some point, my phone buzzed again, screen lighting up on the nightstand. I ignored it. At first. Then the guilt started scraping at me. I reached for the phone and saw her name on the screen. Not a message, a call in progress. I'd somehow answered it when I grabbed the phone. "Hello?" My voice came out hoarse. There was a pause, then her whisper, sharp, fast. "Marcus, I didn't mean to call you. I thought it was my mom. Another voice in the background, her best friend, Jenna. "You okay?" Jenna asked. The phone must have brushed something, because instead of hanging up, Sarah set it down without ending the call. I heard muffled movement, then her voice clearer than she'd ever want me to hear it. "I don't know who he is anymore," she said. My heart stopped. "I'm trying so hard," she went on, voice cracking. "I cook, I ask. I stand there practically begging him to let me in, and he just shuts down. It's like living with a ghost. I feel crazy, Jenna. I feel like I'm fighting a battle he won't even admit exists." Jenna sighed. "You can't fight alone forever." "I know," Sarah whispered, "but I don't want to give up on my marriage. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of feeling unwanted and not knowing why." I ended the call with shaking hands. Something inside me finally broke. It didn't happen in some dramatic lightning strike moment. It was a slow, ugly unraveling. I got out of bed. Not because I felt better, but because staying down suddenly felt worse. My legs were weak, my head spun, but I made it to the kitchen. The house was dark. The only light came from the fridge when I opened it and stared at the containers she'd left. Soup. Leftovers. Proof that even while she was being hurt by me, she was still trying to take care of me. I closed the door without taking anything. I slid down the cabinet, knees to my chest, back against the lower drawer. And at 2 a.m., in the middle of our quiet kitchen, I came apart. It wasn't pretty. Not a single cinematic tear tracking down a strong jaw. It was messy. Snot, shaking hands, my chest hitching like my lungs forgot how to work. I pressed my fists against my forehead and sobbed like a child. All the things I'd been holding back came crashing in at once. The fear, the shame, the exhaustion, the image of her packing that bag, the sound of her voice saying, "I don't know who he is anymore." I didn't even try to stop it. For the first time, I didn't try to be strong. "I'm sorry," I choked out to nobody. "I'm so sorry." If you'd walked in right then, you wouldn't have seen a man in control, a husband with answers. You'd have seen someone on the edge, someone who finally realized that if he didn't open his mouth soon, he was going to lose everything that mattered. I don't know how long I stayed there. It felt like hours. It was probably minutes. I heard the door open before I heard footsteps. Keys. A bag dropping softly. The slight drag of shoes on the floor. "Marcus?" Her voice was cautious, like she wasn't sure what she was walking into. I looked up. Sarah was standing in the doorway, hair pulled into a loose bun, wearing a hoodie and leggings. No makeup. Eyes tired. She had a small overnight bag at her feet and a set of folded clothes in her arms. "I just came to grab a few more things," she started, then stopped. She saw me. Really saw me. On the floor, red-eyed, face wet, hands shaking. For a second, neither of us moved. Her expression shifted. Confusion first, then something like fear, then something softer but guarded, like part of her had been waiting to see something break through and part of her didn't trust it. "Marcus, what are you doing?" she asked quietly. I opened my mouth and, for once, didn't try to swallow it all back. "I'm not okay," I said. It came out rough, almost a whisper, but it was the truth. The first real truth I'd given her in a long time. "I haven't been okay," I went on, words shaking, "for a while, and I didn't know how to tell you without—" I gestured weakly, as if I could point at the wreckage between us. "Without making it worse. So, I said nothing. I thought I was protecting you." She stared at me, eyes shining but hard, defensive, tired. "So now you want to talk?" she said, voice breaking around the edges. "After months of shutting me out? After I begged you to tell me what was wrong? Now that I'm at my mom's, now that I'm packing bags, now you want to talk?" I swallowed. There was no good answer. No defense that didn't sound selfish. "I should have told you sooner," I said. "I should have. I don't know. I just know I can't carry this alone anymore. I'm not strong enough. I thought I had to be, but I'm not." The words hung there between us. Heavy, fragile, real. "I'm not okay," I repeated, because she needed to hear it twice. "And I'm sorry that you had to feel unloved because I was too ashamed to admit that." She didn't rush to me. She didn't drop everything and fall into my arms. She just stood there, breathing, blinking, processing. "I'm so tired, Marcus," she finally whispered. "So tired of being the only one trying." "I know," I said. "I know. And you have every right to be." My body wanted to move, to crawl to her, to cling, to beg. But I stayed where I was, on the kitchen floor, because this wasn't about dragging her into comforting me. This was about finally putting the truth in front of us, even if she walked away from it. Slowly, carefully, she put the folded clothes down on the counter. Her shoulders dropped a little. Not in defeat, just in weariness. She walked over. For one wild second, I thought she might kneel down and wrap her arms around me. She didn't. She lowered herself onto the floor across from me instead, back against the opposite cabinet. A few feet between us. Arms folded over her knees, eyes wary, guarded, but present. She didn't reach out. She didn't say, "It's okay." Because it wasn't. But she sat. She stayed. And after everything I'd done to push her away, that small choice, her staying on that kitchen floor with me instead of walking back out the door, felt like the first fragile piece of something that might, someday, be rebuilt. Chapter 5. The Long Road Back. 1,000 words, tone, cautiously hopeful, earned resolution. Healing isn't a light switch, and love doesn't solve depression, but maybe, if you're lucky, it can hold your hand while you fight it. Sarah and I sat on the kitchen floor for a long time, both of us exhausted, both of us staring at the same cracks in the tile, like we were afraid to look directly at each other. Eventually, she spoke first. "Tell me," she said quietly. "All of it. No more half answers?" So I did. I told her about the fog, the numbness that felt like someone had unplugged me from my own life. I told her about waking up every morning with a weight on my chest that I couldn't explain. How even simple things, showers, eating, walking into a room, felt impossible. I told her about the shame, the voice in my head saying I wasn't allowed to break, that men don't fall apart, that husbands don't burden their wives with things they're supposed to handle. I told her why I pulled away, not because I didn't want her, but because I felt like a broken version of myself, and I didn't want her to see the cracks. Her face didn't soften immediately. She wasn't magically relieved or instantly understanding. She was hurt. "I wish you'd told me," she said, voice trembling. "I wish you'd trusted me with this sooner." "I know," I whispered. "But I'm also angry," she continued. "Angry it took this long. Angry you shut me out. Angry you let me think I wasn't enough." Each word stung, but I didn't flinch away from it. "You're right," I said. "You deserved better. You still do." The honesty sat between us. Heavy, but real. We didn't hug it out. We didn't kiss. We didn't tie it into a neat little bow like some movie scene. She just breathed out slowly, wiped her cheeks with her sleeve, and said, "So, what now? What now?" That was the question that finally forced me to move. Because for the first time, I understood something. Love wasn't going to fix this, but silence was going to destroy it. So the next day, I found a therapist. Not in some inspiring, dramatic way. It was awkward, uncomfortable. A long list of phone calls and websites and wait lists. I sat on hold for 20 minutes with one office. Another told me they weren't accepting new clients. I almost gave up twice. When I finally got an appointment, the first session felt strange. I didn't know where to put my hands. I didn't know how to start. The therapist asked me simple questions. How long have you felt this way? When did you first notice the changes? And each answer came out with this weird mix of embarrassment and relief. Therapy wasn't glamorous. It wasn't instant. But it was something. Meanwhile, Sarah was still processing her own hurt. She didn't move back home immediately, even though she visited more. She stayed at her mom's for a week while we figured out how to talk to each other without stepping around landmines. She told me she needed time to trust me again. I told her I understood. And I did. Because trust wasn't something she owed me, it was something I had to earn back. But small things started to change. I took my medication every morning, even when it made my stomach flip at first, even when I hated the idea of needing it. And on days when my hands shook and I couldn't breathe right, Sarah didn't back away. She'd sit next to me, not touching at first, just close enough for me to feel her presence. Once, during a panic attack, she put her hand over mine and said softly, "You're okay. I'm right here." And for the first time in a long time, I believed someone. We had dinner together a few nights, nothing fancy, just pasta, leftovers, soup. But we talked. Not about deep things, about the weather, her mom's cat, a show she started watching, normal things. And the silence didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt gentle. Then came the setback. Bad days don't give warnings. They just arrive. It was a Thursday. I woke up feeling hollow again, bone-deep exhaustion, fog thick in my head. I moved slowly, quietly. Sarah noticed immediately. "Hey," she said, touching my arm. "You okay?" "I'm fine," I muttered, automatically, stupidly. She stepped back and crossed her arms, not angry, but firm. "Marcus," she said softly, "don't do that. Don't disappear on me again. If you're having a bad day, tell me." My throat tightened. I wanted to retreat, hide, pretend. But something in her tone, steady, loving, unwilling to let me slip back into old habits, made me stop. "I'm having a bad day," I admitted, and it felt like ripping open my rib cage. She nodded. "Okay, then we face it together. But you have to let me in." It wasn't dramatic or emotional or earth-shattering, but it was real. The kind of moment healing is made of. Uncomfortable honesty instead of quiet retreat. Later that night we sat on the couch, closer than before. She wasn't pressed against me, but we weren't on opposite ends either. She looked at me, eyes soft but scared, and said, "I'm scared too, you know. Scared you'll slip again. Scared I'll lose you even while you're still right here." I swallowed hard. "I'm fighting," I said, "and I'm letting you see it. That's scary as hell." She nodded once. "Yeah, it is. But I'd rather be scared with you than without you." No grand gesture, no sweeping music, just two tired people choosing each other in the middle of their mess. And that was enough. Recovery didn't happen overnight. I still had bad days. She still had moments where she pulled back, where the hurt resurfaced. We fought sometimes, not the destructive kind, but the honest kind. The kind where you say, "I'm scared," and the other person says, "Me too," and you keep talking anyway. But slowly, carefully, we started to rebuild. Every therapy session I attended was a brick. Every honest conversation was another. Every time Sarah reached for my hand and I actually reached back, another brick. And little by little, the house we'd been living in felt like a home again, not perfect, not fixed, but ours. These days, when the fog rolls in, and it still does, Sarah doesn't assume I'm pulling away from her, and I don't assume I have to suffer quietly to protect her. Now she knows what I'm fighting. and I let her stand beside me. My wife doesn't think I hate her anymore, I tell you now. Not because I'm fixed, I'm not, but because she finally knows what I'm fighting. And some days, when the fog is thick and my brain lies to me, she reminds me. She says, "You're still here. We're still here." And on the good days, I believe her. The last image of this chapter isn't us laughing or kissing or doing some big cinematic reconciliation. It's us sitting on our porch at sunset, her head on my shoulder, my hand resting over hers. Not perfect, not healed, but present, together, fighting on the same side at last.